a weekly look at the events and issues for Racine. Now, here is your host from CBS 58 News, Jennifer Tomasic.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Racine and Me. Well, if you're looking for a job, perhaps you're looking to get into a new type of career, there's a great opportunity coming up in Racine County. Here to tell us about the CNC Boot Camp is Mark Mundell with Racine County Workforce Development. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Absolutely. First, let's just kind of talk about the job climate in Racine County. What is it like right now?
Well, statistically, we have one of the higher unemployment rates in the state of Wisconsin. But in that environment of having a high unemployment rate, there are opportunities for job seekers. And one of the areas is in CNC, that's computer numeric controlled machining, in our manufacturing sector.
And why this particular industry right now?
Well, as the recession bottomed out and the companies that survived are starting to grow again, they're starting to pick up orders, they're starting to add workforce, and the skills that they need to operate the machines are higher than they were before. So the companies are looking for skilled individuals, and they're just not finding them right now.
And why are the standards higher now?
Well, they have to, for competitive reasons. They have to produce more using less, and there's ways to do that. You can either add labor at a certain fixed cost and make more labor doing it that way, or you can use your brain and you can use technology, and the companies are using smarter people and smarter, more advanced technology.
And I guess how many companies are there within Racine County that use machinists? Are there a number?
There's approximately 400 manufacturing companies. Wow. Now, they don't all use machinists, but a good portion of them do. And if we look across the region from the corridor from Chicago to Milwaukee, there are many, many more manufacturers that use machinists.
Okay, and so there's a program that you guys are doing, and it's not limited just to Racine County. These folks are eligible for work within the Southeast Wisconsin region, but it's called the CNC Boot Camp. Why that? Why boot camp? When I think of boot camp, I think of going to the gym and working out.
You're thinking exactly right. We are going to put your mind to work in CNC Boot Camp. CNC Boot Camp came about probably about 6 or 7 years ago when we were going gangbusters in the economy, and the manufacturers saying we need to find people to do these jobs, and they didn't have time to wait for 2 years for a graduate to come out of the technical college program at the time. And so our technical college, Gateway, got together with manufacturers and us, and we listened. And one of the things that came up, and we talked about this in the E3 program the other week, was the soft skills, the attendance, the appearance, the attitude, the ability to get along with people at work. That was critical. So we put together a training program of 14 weeks, 8 hours a day. And it is intense, it is rigorous, but when you get out, we have a track record that shows you will get a job.
What is that record?
We have a 95% industry employment rate.
Wow. And how many people does that mean that you've placed over the years?
Over the years, since we've been running these, probably upwards of 100.
Wow.
The last boot camp that completed in May, we had 11 graduates from Racine County. All 11 are working as machinists.
That is fantastic. So are we talking hands-on for 14 weeks, or are we talking kind of classroom skills or classroom learning?
It's both. It starts off with a lot of classroom, a lot of theory, getting you prepared for the foundation for going out into the machine shop. And during the last several weeks, and then probably about week 8, it transitions from classroom to in the machine shop. In the last 3-4 weeks, you're in the machine shop 40 hours a week.
Now, is this a machine shop, one of your machine shops or Gateway's machine shops, or are you actually out in one of these businesses?
It's at Gateway Technical College.
Okay.
Our partners at Gateway have been phenomenal by having the expertise to teach this, having the equipment, investing in that equipment, making sure that's up to the state of the art and matching what industry needs. So they've been a phenomenal partner in this.
So are we talking that almost every single type of employer would use the same type of machine, or something that somebody would kind of have some good ground knowledge that they could use on a different type of machine?
More of the ground knowledge. It's I think it's like learning to drive a car. You get the basics, you understand where the gas, the brake, the steering and all those things are, but if you get into a Chevy, things will be in one place. If you get into a Ford, it'll be in another place, and then if you go into an Audi, it's going to be in a different place, but you still know how to drive.
How many folks do you have, how many positions do you have open for people who might be interested in something like this?
Currently, the applicants are going to be competing for 10 positions from Racine County. And we've had, as of last Thursday, 250 individuals picked up an application, and 37 of them are at a stage in the process where they've attended a session learning about what Gateway expects, what we expect, what it is to be a CNC machinist. If you've never been in a manufacturing plant, you don't know what it is, and if you think it's like your father's image of manufacturing, it is not.
How has it changed?
Technology for one, working conditions. A lot of plants are air conditioned. That wasn't the case back when. As I said, the hours, the teamwork, the responsibility. You may be responsible for multiple machines. You might be working 3 machines in your cell on one day.
And now you said within this application process, they have to attend these meetings, and you have different employers that come in and kind of talk to them about what being a machinist is like?
Yeah, I think it's important for the potential worker to understand what they're committing to. We're providing them an opportunity, and we want them to make a well-informed decision about where their new career is, because I have limited capacity. I have 10 spots. I don't want somebody going into this using our taxpayers' dollars. Yeah, it's the flavor of the week. I think I might want to do this. I'm going to give it a try. I want a serious commitment from them.
Absolutely. Well, we're actually going to hear from one of those employers who goes out and talks to these potential candidates coming up after this quick break, so stay with us here on Racine and Me. Welcome back to Racine and Me. We are talking about CNC Boot Camp this morning, and this is a different program that is coming up here with Racine County Workforce Development for folks who might be interested in getting into some type of career as a machinist. Now, Bob Shepard joins us this morning with Pioneer Products, and you are one of the employers who goes out and not only hires these folks that go through this program, but you're kind of one of the first contacts that they see as they are trying to get into this boot camp. So tell me, what are some of the things that you tell someone who might be interested in this?
Just a day in the life, what to expect as a CNC machinist. Most of these people have never been in a shop, so they don't know what is actually asked of them. I bring sample parts, I bring posters that show the kind of work we do, so they can have a feel for, you know, the pressure and what we're asking them to do. I mean, we make parts for world manufacturers. They have to understand that. And then Workforce Development asked me to also work on the fact that this is taxpayers' money, this is a big program, and a lot of people are behind them.
What is it? What is a day in the life of a machinist?
A day in the life of a machinist. At Pioneer, it starts at 5 a.m. or it starts at 3:30. We work 10-hour days. Currently, we're on a 6-day schedule because we're so busy. It involves a lot of inspections. It involves attention to detail. A lot of the things you can't teach as much as you'd like to. So the boot camp is very valuable because it gives them the basic core skills. So when I talk to them, I've been involved with the boot camp, and I can tell them what the classwork is involved and just everything that it takes to be a machinist and be successful.
And who would you say would be a good candidate as a machinist? What type of person?
A person, again, attention to detail. It can be a person who notices things. Good math skills are always very, very important in our business because as computer and numerical control machines, everything's based on math. So that's important. But we feel like we can mold just about anybody. I mean, the program's been very successful at taking people that are landscapers, that worked in a bakery, and actually turn them into machinists, give them the basic skills to bring them to us, and then it's up to us to make those people successful. And
have you had people from bakeries and from landscapers?
Absolutely,
really?
Absolutely.
And they've come in and they've just kind of picked right up after being through the boot camp?
Well, the boot camp gives them basic skills. Yes, there is a training, there is a learning curve, if you will. But yeah, I have one right now that had never been in a machine shop, and I think he's coming up on 4 years right now.
Really? So. Wow, that's phenomenal. And how did your company get involved with this program?
Actually, I've been involved with Gateway for many, many years, and it was an outshoot over one of our discussions at the technical program. We were talking about the 2-year program and how to make it successful. And basically, I was involved in a program like this back in 1982, so I threw that out there, and the other manufacturers in Gateway really took it and ran with it. It was just, you know, I just planted a little seed, and everybody else really took to it. So
now, Mark was talking about the need for machinists within Racine County and kind of the surrounding areas. What do you find is the case at your shop right now?
Oh, we're very busy. Because of the economy downturn back in 2007, 2008, we diversified, so we have many more customers. And a lot of them are brand new within the last couple months. So I'm looking for people as we speak. I have interviews when I get back to the shop today. And other manufacturers, I mean, you can open the paper and there's jobs there. There's jobs to be had. They need these core skills, and that's where the boot camp comes in.
And you're looking to get people on board pretty quickly, too, I assume.
Right, exactly, right away. I mean, as soon as we can turn them around.
Tell me about some success stories of folks that you've hired who have come through these boot camp classes.
Well, currently I have 5 boot campers from 3 different programs. And actually one of them that kind of means something to me is she went to the last camp, and because of an injury, she could not complete the program. So she got set aside. Well, when the economy turned down, they stopped the boot camp program, and she thought she might never get her finish the program. But when they started the last boot camp, which just completed a couple months ago, she got to go back and complete it, and then I felt good to give her an opportunity to give her a job, and she's at work right now.
And I assume that this probably, as Mark was saying, this kind of gives you just the groundwork that you would need to work in one of these shops. Have you seen these folks progress and really kind of get into everything and work their way up within the company?
Sure. The one from the latest boot camp, they're just learning, so they're getting core skills. But going back several boot camps, I mean, the one gentleman that I spoke of earlier is actually on a robotic cell. So he's working on a robotic cell where it's loading parts to make parts for a Chevy Camaro.
Is this something that just anybody can do?
If you have the right attitude and you want it, yes. I mean, it takes a lot of skill to be a machinist, but the boot camp can give you the core skills. You can go to a manufacturer, we work with you, absolutely.
And Mark was saying, and he's spoken about this a couple times within just kind of job seeking skills and whatnot, the importance of being on time, being able to work with folks, and I'm sure as an employer, I mean, those are things that you probably cannot compromise on.
Absolutely, and that's why the boot camp is so important. It's 14 weeks, and like Mark said, they take attendance. If you're late a couple times, they will call you out, and if it's maybe one more time, they'll let you go. I mean, it's just like a job. They treat it like a job. That's the most important part to me, other than the skills, is those people, when they come to me, it's nothing different than they've already done. And they give them some computer skills, and they really do back the people. They come up behind them. They ask if there's an additional training needs, if you need a mentor, if you need a tutor. I mean, Workforce really does a nice job with that.
And your experience has been pretty good so far working with them and working with all the students that have come through?
Oh yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, the opportunities, whenever there's a boot camp, I always wait for that call so I have the opportunity to talk. I'm passionate about the business, I'm passionate about the program. We need to create career paths in this day and age, and this is a great career path.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to bring Mark back after this quick break and talk with both gentlemen about their partnership. Stay with us. Welcome back to Racine and Me this morning. We're talking about boot camp, and no, not the kind that you probably have heard about at the gym. This is one that will really help folks who are interested into getting into computer numerically controlled operator systems and to be a machinist. This is a great program, especially because it's so intensive, and you don't have to go to school for 2 years. You just have to go for 14 weeks. Mark, what's some of the criteria that people have to meet in order to be eligible for this?
Well, we make it look like a job application process. So the first thing a person has to do is stop by the Workforce Development Center or go to our website and pick up the application process. Pick it up, fill it out. They're going to come down and they're going to attend 2 information sessions. One is Bob's going to be doing an information session, I believe, tomorrow, Bob, right?
Correct.
And Bob's going to tell people what it's like to work at Pioneer Products, what it's like to be a machinist, what skills he expects, and hopefully the individuals, the applicants, are going to say, yeah, that's something I can do, or no, that's not really what I want to do with my life, so I'm going to go somewhere else. But if it is, then they're going to go to another information session where Workforce Development, one of my staff, a project manager, and a representative from Gateway is going to talk about their expectations and my expectations. They're going to take an assessment, an academic assessment. I don't want to put someone in this rigorous training program for them to fail because they're not prepared math-wise. So we need about an 8th grade math level to start, and about an 8th grade reading level. Once you have that, then the place to go, there's an opportunity to go up from there. By the time you complete this, you're going to be functioning at a much higher process or level. Then you're going to go through an interview process. Everyone that turns in an application will be interviewed, and based upon a variety of factors, you're going to be scored and selected. You're going to be given the opportunity to participate.
Okay, I would assume that's a hard process for you guys to narrow it down since you have so many people that are looking for this opportunity.
It is, but we want quality product going out. So if we have quality inputs coming in, we have a better chance of having quality product going out and meeting Bob's needs.
And what specifically, is there a specific position that you're looking to fill when you take these folks on? Or are you just kind of trying to fill any type of machinist opening and then kind of see where this person fits in with your groove at the plant?
It can be multiple openings. It could be in a QC capacity. It could be as a machinist. One of the boot campers I hired in the certification area will get the opportunity to run a machine down the road, but currently she's learning customer specific requirements, things that our customers are really critical about. One of our customers is extremely critical for just the quality of the look of the part. I mean, although it doesn't really affect the use of the part, they want it to look as good as it runs. And so she's learning all those characteristics as well. So it could be for any opening that Pioneer has.
And what do you guys make parts for?
We machine parts for many different customers. Caterpillar is one of our customers. Tremec out of Mexico. We're doing work for PACCAR in the Netherlands division. So we're pretty worldwide. Yeah,
it sounds like it. And Mark, when Bob and I were talking earlier, he had mentioned he's had bakers come in and landscapers. Do you find a lot of folks that are kind of coming into their second careers looking for something to do down the line and wanting to do this boot camp?
Yeah, we see in workforce development that there are multiple careers in a lifespan now. You no longer graduate from high school, go down the block, punch in at one company and stay there till you get your gold watch at 65. That's just not the story anymore. So people are coming from different backgrounds, different stories. The stories are incredible. Very, very compelling stories, very interesting stories, and they're looking for new careers. I think about one person that came from a sales background, and he was just tired of the sales technique and the sales. And since then, he came to the boot camp. He went to another manufacturer in Racine, C&H, sometimes locally known as Case, and he started as a machinist, worked and worked and worked, and had been promoted to a supervisor. So there's a lot of great stories, and he's just happy as can be now.
That's fantastic, and all because he got the start through your boot camp course.
And he put the effort forward. I mean, we provided the opportunity. He followed through with the effort, and he was held accountable, and he succeeded.
And I think interesting, something we were talking about earlier, is that on the day these folks graduate from the boot camp, you guys are there. You are ready to talk with them.
Yeah, actually, I get an opportunity to interview them the day before.
The day before?
The day before. We do mock interviews. We help workforce development. Mark will give me a call. Can you come? Can you help us out? We give them a feel of what an interview will be at a manufacturer. So yeah, I always volunteer for that because it's my in. But at the graduation also, they set up several rooms. If they weren't able to be involved with the mock interviews, you have other organizations that'll show up, and it gives me a chance to follow up. So yeah, it's a really good, the graduation, and it's great to see the graduation. You see the people, they bring their entire families. It really means a lot to them. You can tell they're turning their lives around. And when I see that, I know they have a support group, so that means a lot to be at the graduation ceremony.
And I know about one individual that you spoke about that works with you now. He's kind of trying to pass what he's learned in just life, not necessarily machinist skills, but life skills down to his family.
Correct, correct. And others as well. I mean, when we get the opportunity to talk to some of the other groups of disadvantaged children or people that have gone down the wrong path, he's always there to help us out and speak about his success.
And Mark, too, something else we were mentioning earlier off camera about the opportunities that these folks kind of get to show their skills, because you send out their resumes to a number of different places, is that right?
Yeah, we send them out to over 70 different manufacturers who have requested that they receive the boot camp graduates' resumes. And during the boot camp, there's, besides the technical skills, we're working on the soft skills, we're working on the job seeking skills, we're working on the job retention skills. There's things that I think everyone here at this table this morning understands that we have to do and have a primary plan and a backup plan, like getting to work this morning. If your car didn't work, Jennifer, what was your backup plan?
Call my fiance who was sleeping still at 3:30 this morning.
But I'm sure he would step up to the thing. Some people don't think that through. They don't have that backup plan, and when the car doesn't start, they don't show up at Bob's shop. That doesn't help Pioneer Products, and if that happens multiple times, Bob's got to let that person go. So we get them in position to have those life issues that come up thought through, planned out, and hopefully they'll apply what they learned, what we taught them, to the job once they have the job.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we're going to take one more quick break here this morning, but we'll be back with more if you're interested in the CNC boot camp coming up after this. Welcome back. Well, hopefully by now you are interested in possibly getting into a career as a machinist, or at least maybe something has sparked your interest here this morning. So if you want to know more about the CNC boot camp, Mark, let's talk about the who, what, where, when, and why. When do folks kind of need to sign up and get all this ball rolling by?
Okay, applications, last day to pick up an application and complete it is August 25th. That's this Thursday. Applications are due the last day of the month, August 31st at 5 p.m. Applications can be picked up at the Racine County Workforce Development Center. That's at 1717 Taylor Avenue in Racine, or at our Burlington satellite office at 400 McKenna Parkway, or they can be picked up on our website at wdc.racineco.com and download it, and they can start going through the process.
And when is the actual boot camp?
Actual boot camp will start September 12th.
Okay, and that runs all the way through December 16th, I believe?
Right before the holiday break.
So that's a great time to celebrate, right?
That would celebrate with the new Christmas job. Yep.
That is perfect, and that is a great time too for folks. Bob, tell me about just your company being involved in this and just how much you guys have gotten out of it.
Well, we feel lucky to have the opportunity. I mean, we've always looked for the opportunity to work with, find future employees. I mean, as I told you earlier, by 2015, there'll be more jobs than people. So we have to create these pathways, and Workforce has really opened up the doors to whatever they're willing to do just about anything we want to do. They have some great ideas, we have some great ideas, and we work together. So it's worked out really well, and I can't see anything but a bright future for our partnership.
Any other type of boot camps that you know coming up, Mark, as far as any other industries?
Right now, we're always kind of scanning the horizon, looking for opportunities. Earlier, we have done boot camps in what we call industrial machine repair. That's maintaining the machines that the CNC operators work on. We've done boot camps in medical receptionists. But again, we're going to look at the demand side. There has to be an industry demand. There has to be a coalition of businesses that say we're going to hire these people, because we're not just going to take our limited resources and arbitrarily say, go to school. This is a good thing to do. It's not a bad thing to do, but we have limited resources, and in this tight budget climate with fiscal conservatism catching on in Washington, D.C., we have to manage our limited resources very, very carefully.
Well, it sounds like you guys are doing a pretty good job right now, and definitely providing opportunities for folks who might not know where else to turn, and glad that you got the employers like Pioneer Products involved in this as well. So thank you so much, Bob, Mark. Thank you very much for coming in here this morning. We really appreciate it, and best of luck to you both with the program that's coming up.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. So again, don't forget, August 25th is the last day that you have to get in that application, and then August 31st is the final day once you've completed that whole entire process. So thank you so much for joining us today on Racine and Me. We'll see you next week.